Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay, we've talked about the granddaddy of things. Now I want to know Ethereum, right? Because I know that the big trade that you have on your books right now in front of your desk is Ethereum.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again,
Right now it's sitting pretty.
just like we did with Bitcoin, let's do a quick recap of the price movement of Ethereum. So last year moved all the way up to 4,000, but Ethereum seems to be completely allergic to the 4,000 level. Every time it hits there, it just keeps climbing back up. Some people say third time's the charm. I guess we'll see. We hit it one, twice, and now we're trading towards the bottom of this range, right? So just like Bitcoin had that consolidation range, Ethereum had a similar range, right? Basically going between 4,000 and, well, actually we hit 2,100 both times, right? We hit it right here back in August 2024, and then most recently, this past week, we hit 21, even though it was a very brief wick, right? If you were able to catch that, I was watching the markets as that was going on, and I was having a conversation. I was in a car having a conversation with somebody, and I looked away for like 2 minutes. I looked back down, and I saw, okay, it just went down to 2,100, and now it's back up to 25. So very quick wicks. But if you were able to catch it, props on that. But we see that Ethereum is on the dollar valuations trading close to its bottom, close to the bottom of this range, right? But really what you want to look at, because we established Bitcoin as the king of crypto. And you can look at Ethereum as the prince of crypto. So if you have, let's take a look at Ethereum BTC, right? Because why would you hold something that's riskier than Bitcoin if it's not generating more profits than Bitcoin itself, right? So let's look at what Ethereum has done compared to Bitcoin. So this, what we're looking at, is the price action of ETH compared to its using its Bitcoin valuation, right? So we can see this horrible, right? This like a huge downturn all the way from August of 2022, just consistently going down, right? It's just perfect, this channel that has been going down on, right? It just keeps getting rejected by the moving averages. Every time it gets close to the top of this channel, it just keeps going down. Right now, we're here towards the bottom of this channel, this long-term consolidation. Now, two things to point out. Every time we hit this trend line, what happens? We bounce back up. We trade above it, we get close to it, bounce back up. We get close to it, we bounce back up. Now, maybe we're breaking it down, right? But historic, if we look back, I might use the weekly chart for this one so we can appreciate where we are. When in doubt, zoom out, right? And what we can see is that Ethereum, it actually has these cycles versus Bitcoin, right? It likes to kind of stay within this range as well, right? I mean, I'm going to ignore kind of that week there. That's Ethereum being very new to the market, right? But if you look at it, you're within this range. Now, the range, obviously, sometimes it doesn't reach all the way up to the previous one. So you might argue that there's diminishing returns there when you compare it to Bitcoin. But we are historically at very low Ethereum valuations when compared to Bitcoin, right? I'm not calling a bottom per se, but if this is not the bottom, or, what we had this past week was not the bottom, we are very close to it. So this is one of my biggest plays, right? Because every cycle, there's the same narrative where Ethereum has not increased in value compared to Bitcoin. It is that you have the flipping, right? Solana's got to take it over, right? It's always the same thing. It's always the same thing, and really, it's just fear, right? When there's fear in the streets, you want to be greedy. So that's what I've been doing. I've been buying ETH since around the 0.5 valuation. So some of my ETH has gone down like 20%, right? And even if it goes down another 20, 30%, right? 50%. I'm okay with that. I'm willing to stomach that because I have conviction in that trade. Because what are we looking at? What happens if, from here, let's say it goes back to where it was in 2022 or even 2023, right? We're looking at a 200% increase from now, right? And that's against the value of Bitcoin. Historically, when ETH goes up to these higher valuations, it happens when Bitcoin is also increasing in value in US dollars, right? So while you might be looking at ETH right now at 2,600, right? Everything else remaining the same. Let's say Bitcoin stays at 96,000, right? Ethereum could move double that and be at this ranges. So that means it'll be over $5,000, assuming Bitcoin stays at 96,000. Obviously, Bitcoin is not going to stay at 96,000 if Ethereum is making those moves, right? We might get 120, 130, 150, 160. Maybe we push close to 200,000 Bitcoin. So what does that mean? That will be what? More than a 50% increase in Bitcoin price right now. So that will push ETH close to like 6,000, 7,000, if not more than that. So there, you're essentially doubling your Bitcoin amount. And because you're also doing that during a bull cycle, you're increasing your US dollar amount as well, right? At the end of the day, you have to be able to take profits. But that's a whole nother discussion. But the opportunity, as we can see here, is there to capture this potential 200% move, right? It could even go higher than that, right? If it goes back to these levels, although I don't think that's that realistic. I think a good kind of target to set is around this area here at the 0.07.
Okay. So you're expecting to break out of this channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
But would you take profits at the top of the channel?
I would start taking profits right around here, maybe at the 0.06 level, because we can see here there's some good what served previously as support. This is probably going to serve as resistance later on, right? So I'll probably start taking some profits there, and then all my profits would probably be in this area between 0.0 and 0.08.
Because that's the thing. Okay, so then we go back to the news narrative, right? So Ethereum, interestingly enough, has not had the same euphoria that Bitcoin had when we had the ETFs approved, right? Ethereum does have ETFs approved now, and it's full force. So what other things do you see? What other news or catalysts do you see coming into Ethereum? Like any advances on the technology, any new projects? Because I remember the last rally that we had was because of the NFT craze, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I think Solana has kind of taken that thunder away from Ethereum a little bit. I mean, it's easier to work with. It's cheaper, transaction fees. It seems to be more popular. All the meme coin casino, it's all Solana based, right? So it has taken some of that. And that's where we start seeing those diminishing returns. I think Ethereum, what it's being used for is more like the more legit uses, like governments or organizations, that type of corporate technology that's being built on that blockchain. Obviously, there's some technology issues there that it's blockchain. It's always going to continue to improve. But at the end of the day, it's solid chain, right? It has a good track record. The team has a good track record behind it. It's been the silver to Bitcoin's gold for the longest time since it's been around, right? And I don't think it's going anywhere. Just like any asset, it's going to have its bear cycles and its bull cycles. But we identify that and try to take advantage of it as much as we can. Now, a couple of things that do impact Ethereum and impact other alts as well. So one is around so as part of the merge, the ETH merge, right? Ethereum went to be a deflationary currency, right, for a bit. Now that has kind of flipped. I think this past week, the total ETH supply was at the same level that it was when the merge happened, right? So it kind of just flipped that over. So that narrative is kind of gone, right? But the other thing that impacts Ethereum and other alts will be macroeconomics, right? So we talk about the cost of capital. Interest rates are historically high, right, compared to other crypto bull markets. Also, like I mentioned before, the government's still sucking up cash liquidity from the markets. So before we can see ETH really rally, we need to have at least the government, the Fed stop sucking cash from the market, and we want to see interest rates drop. And historically, that's when these riskier assets, including alts, that's when they pump. Alts tend to have kind of this cyclical nature within the Bitcoin cycles, and so does ETH. But ETH has been underperforming for the longest time, even compared to other altcoins, right? In contrast to that, when Bitcoin was in the bear market, right, it was actually outperforming Bitcoin for parts, or at least going sideways for most of it, until it finally started going down consistently.
Okay.
And with that narrative, right, the other thing I want to show here is the Bitcoin dominance. The Bitcoin dominance takes the overall total market cap of the entire crypto market, and then gets the Bitcoin market cap as the numerator to get this percentage. And this happens every cycle, where as part of the bear market, right, we see this gradual increase, right? And then we see a huge drop. What happens on the huge drop? On the huge drop, that's basically when the alt season mania phase, absolute just crazy. News are talking about it. Fart coins going 10x in a week. That's when all this happens. And that, if you notice, this is relatively short. And this is when we have our peak. We haven't had that yet. We've had this gradual increase over time, since the bottom of the bull market, or the bottom of the bear market. But we haven't seen that drop. I think recently what we saw was a fake out to the downside, right? Because we were on this trend line for the longest time consistently. Then we hit this top, and we broke the trend line. It's like everybody's like, oh, we're gonna keep going down. This alt season. This is what happened basically in early January, December timeframe, right? But then it reversed. We had a bounce here, and people, no, and that's his dead cat bounce. But we came back up here, right? In basically last week. Actually, it's this week technically still, because we haven't closed. So I don't know how much higher this will be, but I do think that it is close to the top. So again, it's not a bad time to be accumulating alts.